She trusted the man she loved, never knowing he wanted to take her life. She thought she was in love, but he was using her for money ritual. What he did with her pad changed everything. Ethan Cole was 26 years old. Lydia Grace was 23. They met at a time when life had nothing to offer them except hope. No money, no connections, no easy path. Just two young hearts trying to survive in a world that showed no mercy. Ethan lived in a small, poorly painted room behind an old compound. The ceiling leaked when it rained. His mattress was thin and worn, just like his dreams. But every evening, Lydia would come, sit beside him, and remind him, "One day we will laugh at all this." And Ethan believed her. Lydia was gentle, soft-spoken, loyal. She sold small items at a roadside stall. Every money she earned, she saved carefully. Sometimes, when Ethan had nothing to eat, she would bring food secretly, pretending she had already eaten. She loved him deeply, and Ethan loved her too. At least, he thought he did. They dated for 4 long years. 4 years of hardship. 4 years of struggle. 4 years of dreaming. They spoke about marriage. They planned their future. They imagined their children. They promised never to betray each other. But life has a way of testing promises. The pressure begins. As time passed, pressure started building. Ethan tried many jobs. He worked as a helper in buses. He sold phone accessories. He did manual labor at construction sites. But nothing lasted. Money never stayed. Every night, Ethan lay awake, staring at the cracked ceiling, listening to the sound of hunger in his stomach and shame in his heart. He began to feel less of a man. His mates were buying cars, building houses, sending money home. And he could barely afford transport. Slowly, frustration turned into anger, and anger turned into desperation. The wrong friends. That was when Ryan Black entered his life. Ryan was flashy. Designer clothes. Latest phone. Expensive wristwatch. Always spending money freely. Yet nobody knew his real job. Ryan introduced Ethan to his circle. Young men who lived fast, spoke boldly, and carried an air of dangerous confidence. They laughed loudly. They drank expensive drinks. They spent without fear. One evening, Ethan finally asked, "Ryan, what do you people really do?" They exchanged glances. Then Ryan smiled slowly. "There are shortcuts in life." Ethan's heart skipped. "Shortcuts?" Ryan leaned closer and whispered, "Ritual money." Fear rushed through Ethan. "No, I can't do that." They laughed. "Everybody says that, until hunger humbles them." Ethan stood up and left. But the seed had already been planted. Days passed. Hunger returned. Bills piled up. Landlord threatened eviction. At night, Ethan's mind replayed those words. Shortcuts in life. He remembered their cars, their houses, their respect. And he remembered his empty pocket. Slowly, temptation grew. One night, Lydia came over. She noticed his silence. "What's wrong?" she asked softly. "Nothing," he lied. She held his hand. "We will survive." "We always do." But survival was no longer enough for Ethan. He wanted escape. One evening, Ethan met Ryan again. This time, he did not walk away. They took him to a dark place at the edge of town. A shrine. Candles flickered. Strange symbols filled the walls. The air smelled of fear. The herbalist spoke in a low voice. "To get wealth, you must sacrifice something close to your heart." Ethan swallowed hard. "What kind of sacrifice?" The man replied calmly. "Something that carries her life essence." Silence filled the room. Then Ryan whispered, "Your girlfriend's used pad." Ethan's knees weakened. "No, I can't." The herbalist's eyes were cold. "Then stay poor." Ethan walked out. But the words followed him home. The moment that changed everything. 2 days later, Lydia visited. She used his bathroom. And unknowingly, she left behind her used sanitary pad. Ethan saw it. His heart pounded. Sweat covered his face. His mind screamed nitrogen monoxide, but desperation screamed yes. For a long moment he stood there, shaking. Then, he picked it up. And in that moment, his soul crossed a line it could never return from. His soul crossed a line it could never return from. That night, Ethan did not sleep. The small nylon bag lay hidden under his pillow. Inside it was the object that would change two destinies forever. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Lydia's face, her smile, her kindness, her sacrifices. His heart trembled, his hands shook. His conscience screamed, but his hunger shouted louder, and greed whispered softly, "Just this once, and everything will change." The ritual before dawn. Ethan dressed quietly and left the house. The streets were empty. The air was cold. His steps were heavy. At the shrine, the herbalist was already waiting. Candles burned. Smoke curled in the air. Strange chants filled the darkness. The man collected the item from Ethan's trembling hand. Without emotion, he began the ritual. Powders, incantations, symbols drawn on the ground. Then he said, "From today, wealth will locate you. But her strength will drain. Her life force will feed your success." Ethan's chest tightened. "Will she die?" he whispered. The herbalist looked up slowly. "That depends on how long you enjoy the money." Those words pierced Ethan's soul, but he said nothing. And the ritual was completed. When money started flowing. At first, nothing happened. Then slowly, life began to change. A man called Ethan with a business offer. Another paid him unexpectedly. An old debt was suddenly refunded. Money started entering his hands, more than he had ever held. Within weeks, Ethan moved into a better apartment, bought new clothes, new phone, new furniture. People started respecting him, calling him boss, and Lydia. She celebrated his success. "I always believed in you," she said happily. She had no idea that her life was paying the price. Beginning of Lydia's suffering. One morning, Lydia woke up weak. Her body felt heavy. Her head spun. Her chest tightened. She ignored it. But the weakness did not stop. Days passed. Her appetite disappeared. Her energy vanished. Her body began to shrink. Friends noticed. "You are losing weight too fast," they said. Doctors ran tests. Everything looked normal. Yet Lydia felt like something inside her was slowly dying. At night, she cried silently. She could not explain the pain. She only knew she was fading. Ethan's silent guilt. Ethan noticed the changes. He saw her thinning face, her weak steps, her forced smiles. Guilt gnawed at him. But every time money entered his account, his conscience became quieter. He started avoiding her, buying gifts instead of spending time, sending money instead of affection. And Lydia, in her innocence, believed he was just busy. The night of the dream. One night, Lydia had a terrible dream. She saw herself tied to a dark altar. She saw Ethan standing beside strange men. She saw her blood turning into money. She woke up screaming. Sweat covered her body. Her heart raced. That night, her spirit became restless. The first suspicion, a strange feeling settled in Lydia's heart. Fear, confusion, unease. She began to observe Ethan closely. His sudden wealth, his secretive phone calls, his frequent disappearances. And deep within her, a terrifying question formed. Could the man I love be the reason for my pain? Lydia's condition worsened. Every morning, she woke up weaker than the night before. Her once glowing skin became pale. Her bright eyes became dull. Her cheerful laughter disappeared. She could barely walk. Her mother, Mrs. Grace Johnson, noticed the changes immediately. "My daughter, what is wrong with you?" she cried, holding Lydia's thin hands. I don't know, Mama, Lydia whispered. I feel like something inside me is slowly dying. Thea seized her parents' hearts. They rushed her to the hospital. Doctors conducted countless tests. Blood tests, scans, special examinations. But every result came back the same. Normal. Yet Lydia continued to fade. A mother's endless tears. Mrs. Johnson did not sleep. She prayed day and night. She fasted. She cried. She begged God. Please, Lord, take my life instead, she whispered one night. Just spare my daughter. Her father, Mr. Daniel Johnson, spent everything he had. Sold his land. Sold his car. Borrowed money. Yet nothing saved Lydia. Ethan under pressure. Ethan visited often. Each time he saw Lydia's condition, guilt crushed him. But he hid it behind fake smiles and expensive gifts. Her parents thanked him. God bless you, my son, they said. You were standing by her. Those words burned his soul. The spiritual search. When medicine failed, Lydia's parents turned to prayers. They visited churches. They met pastors. They went for deliverance. One powerful prayer session changed everything. As the pastor prayed, Lydia screamed suddenly. Her body shook violently. Then she cried out, "He did it! He did it!" The room froze. Who? The pastor demanded. Through tears, Lydia whispered, Ethan. Her parents stood in shock. What are you saying? Her mother cried. But Lydia fainted. Every blessing felt like a curse. The investigation. Fear and confusion filled the house. Mr. Johnson decided to investigate quietly. He followed Ethan one evening. And that night, truth revealed itself. He saw Ethan enter the same dark shrine. He saw him speak with the herbalist. He heard his daughter's name mentioned. And the world shattered. The confrontation. The next day, Lydia's parents confronted Ethan. You used our daughter for money. Mr. Johnson roared. Ethan collapsed. He could no longer deny it. He fell to the floor, crying uncontrollably. I'm sorry. I didn't want it to go this far. Mrs. Johnson slapped him. You killed her slowly, she screamed. The desperate attempt to reverse it. They rushed Lydia back to the shrine. They begged the herbalist. But his answer was cold. The sacrifice has gone too far. The bond is strong. Only one life will leave this world. Tears flooded the room. Ethan screamed, Take me instead. But the herbalist shook his head. It does not work that way. That night, Lydia could barely speak. She called Ethan closer. I forgive you, she whispered weakly. But God will judge everything. Tears rolled down Ethan's face. At dawn, Lydia took her final breath. The morning Lydia died, the world stood still for Ethan. Her body lay cold, her eyes closed forever. Her smile gone. The woman who loved him without conditions was dead because of him. Ethan sat beside her lifeless body, shaking. He could not cry. His tears had dried. His soul was empty. The curse awakens that same day. Strange things began to happen. Ethan's phone rang non-stop. Business deals collapsed. Money vanished. Accounts froze, one by one. Everything he gained disappeared. Before nightfall, his wealth was gone. By the third day, madness entered his mind. He began seeing Lydia everywhere, in mirrors, in shadows, in his dreams. Her voice haunted him. Why did you betray me? The fall into madness, Ethan stopped bathing, stopped eating, stopped sleeping. He wandered the streets, barefoot, dirty, screaming her name. People whispered, That is the boy who used his girlfriend for ritual money. Children ran from him. He became a living ghost. One night, during heavy rain, Ethan returned to the shrine. He screamed at the herbalist. You promised wealth. The man looked at him calmly. You enjoyed it. Now suffer it. Lightning struck. Thunder roared, and Ethan collapsed, foaming at the mouth. By morning, he was dead. The burial without tears, No crowd came. No friends, no honor. Only shame followed him into the grave. Never trust blindly. Never leave your personal items carelessly. Not your pad. Not your underwear. Not your hair. Not your nails. Even love can hide betrayal. Because sometimes, the person closest to you can become your greatest enemy. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so you don't miss our next stories.